Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Some interesting reaction from Pratt on the action of the foreign minister, His Excellency Ablakwa, and some comments made by the NPP regarding the arrest of Wontumi. He said a lot of things which I want you to join me listening to. The reasonable statements made by him concerning Wontumi's arrest and how far we have come as a country. On the show was him and Isaac Boama of the NPP party. This station still remains PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, like, and also share to other friends of yours to also have a view of what is happening within Ghana and beyond. Without much ado, I would like you to join me listening to what he said, and your comments are most welcome on that. Thank you for being with us. Join me to listen to what he said to the end. You can equally send your grievances through our WhatsApp number, which is 0277128777. Thank you. We'll be right back.
To a political aide to ex-president, ex-vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, further disclosed that Kwarteng admitted to his misconduct when confronted following the investigation, but offered him a monthly bribe of $10,000 to shut up. And it says Fred Kwarteng also revealed to Tonto that other embassy officers were involved in illegal fees matters and other corrupt conduct. Now, in support of a statement made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs on May 26, 2025, Kofi Tonto disclosed that he personally launched an investigation into Fred Kwarteng's activities after receiving reports that Kwarteng had established a private company outside the embassy to offer mailing services and was charging clients unapproved fees. He's a bad boy. I personally investigated him because he had established his own company. It goes on and on. And I said, Tonto mentioned one Angeline Addy, an embassy staff member, as someone who fought spiritedly with him to dismantle Kwarteng's corrupt activities. Angelina Addy fought with her life. She had been at the embassy for 20-something years and understood the system. He added that despite his admission, Kwarteng had attempted to offer him $10,000 in exchange for his silence, while also revealing that he had accomplices involved in the alleged practices, some of whom held positions of higher authority. After my investigations, he admitted to the illegality. He later engaged me in a conversation and told me that he had accomplices who held higher authority than he did, and further went on to say I was wasting my time to investigate him. So he was sharing the loot, allegedly, with some people at the top. So he was emboldened. Tonto continued saying, he offered me money in exchange for me to stay silent and overlook what was happening. I'm talking about Fred Kwarteng. He told me bluntly that the report I had filed directed to the embassy ambassador would not yield any results and would be thrown out. Hey, Tonto, a political aide, a member of the NPP, also recounted another incident in which the individual cloned the embassy's official website and used it to charge illegal fees. And he offered me $10,000 again. He's talked about that again. Wow.
So
this is serious, eh?
Yeah, but I'm surprised
such a thing was happening and the Auditor General's office couldn't, uncover it. But Uncle, before you come in, let me just read this so that, it puts everything in its proper perspective. Now, Ghana's Foreign Affairs Ministry Tuesday announced, which was yesterday, that the country's embassy in Washington, D.C. will reopen on Thursday after a temporary closure. The announcement came after Foreign Affairs Minister Ablakwa ordered a closure on Monday to allow for investigations into alleged corrupt practices of the mission. A team of astute diplomats from the Foreign Ministry has been dispatched to the embassy to ensure a total system overhaul and to restore credibility to the embassy's operations and complete ongoing structural reform, the statement adds. According to the ministry, a special audit team found that a local staffer in the embassy's IT department created an unauthorized link on the embassy's website, which advertised visa and passport applications to applicants to his company, where he charged extra for multiple services on the blind side of the ministry and kept the entire proceeds in his private account. And an IT team has already been deployed to reconfigure the website and also payment platforms to do away with the unofficial and unauthorized links associated with the IT system of the embassy, the statement add. Ogozi.
Well, first of all, I think one has to make the point that His Excellency Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa, has earned a huge reputation as an anti-corruption campaigner. I mean, there's no doubt at all about that.
Right.
You understand? But somehow, unfortunately, in the reassignment of duties and so on, President Mahama did not take him to the CID or to Yoko or any of those places. He put him in foreign affairs. Foreign affairs necessarily requires a new set, of skills and so on, Now, having said that, I think the point also has to be made that many diplomatic missions have had problems. Many, not just Ghanaian diplomatic missions, many. A couple of years ago, I think about 2 years ago or so, South Africa suspended the issuance of visas from their High Commission here. No noise was made about it. I mean, you just notice, for those of us who travel to South Africa a lot, you just notice that the process had become very slow. I mean, it was unexplained. It took a long time for us to realize that there were some problems relating to the issuance of visas from the South African High Commission here. They kept it under wraps. Not just that, I have known that at least on one occasion, a British diplomat had been recalled from Ghana because of conduct which the appointing authorities thought was unbecoming of a diplomat. But it was done so quietly.
Yeah.
So several missions here and elsewhere have had problems. But then it has been dealt with very quietly. There must be a reason for that. And it seems to me that the reason for that is that given the role of embassies and high commissions, it is important that they come out in a certain decorous frame. You understand? Yesterday something happened and I was a bit alarmed. You had media houses open phone lines and invite Ghanaians everywhere to make statements, the quality of services they're getting from their embassies and so on. And I'm sure you probably saw some of them.
Yeah.
And it was horrifying. The kinds of things Ghanaian citizens outside were saying about their own missions. The mission in Germany came under attack. The mission in Spain was torn to shreds, and so on. I want to believe that these Ghanaians who are calling into this, the effect of that on our ability to represent the country, if we create the impression that our high commissions and embassies are a dens of crooks and highwaymen and women, we do irreparable damage to their capacity to represent us properly. You understand? So I would urge that when it comes to such things, the minister was right in seeking to take corrective action. Nobody can quarrel with His Excellency Okudzato Ablakwa for taking measures to curb corruption in one particular embassy or embassies and so on. That's his duty. He's supposed to do that. My problem is, do we do it, with this level of media attention and so on? What is it intended to do? So that's one of the issues. Now, for me, from what the gentleman who used to work in the embassy has written,
Kofi
Tonto has written, it's obvious that these matters came to the notice of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yes, according to him.
Long before Mr. Okudzato Ablakwa assumed office. Long before President Mahama became president for the second time and so on. Why was this gentleman not dealt with? Why did he still remain in office and carry on this activity, which to all intents and purposes is illegitimate and illegal? That's a huge question. Ministry who shielded him for all this time, given the fact that it was known that he was doing this. I mean, I'm worried.
Yeah.
You know, I'm seriously worried about the fact that this is the situation. You understand? Then there's an important point which you have raised, and that is, what is the quality of our auditing? What's the quality of our auditing? Because the story is that he's the IT expert in the embassy, that he has managed to create a link, you know, which is personal for him.
Yeah.
So applicants for passports and other services actually end up with him.
Yeah.
And he charges them illegal fees, you know, and then eventually the passports are issued and so on. Now, if you just audit the payment systems in the embassy, this should come out.
Easily.
So who has been doing the auditing of the embassy? And how was the auditing done? That's another issue. You understand? So it may appear to be a simple matter of fighting corruption and so on, but I think that there are many other dimensions to this.
It's a whole syndicate.
Yes. Now we are being told that some extraordinary diplomats are being sent to Washington. I mean, you read the description, you know, of the diplomats who are going there to rectify the situation and so on. You know. Well, it's interesting, but I'm again just wondering, because we hear from one of the newspaper reports, especially the report in Herald, that there were members of staff of the embassy who saw this and fought it.
Yes.
Exactly.
And actually sent reports to Accra.
Yes.
These are honest men and women who wanted the right thing to be done. Now, how come that in the remedial action that we took, all of them, including the people who fought this system, who perhaps even exposed this system, were affected? There's a problem there.
Yeah.
There's some problem there, you know, and so on. But let me make my final remark.
And what does this even mean for our fight against corruption?
Exactly.
If I'm going to expose somebody and I lose my job at the end of the day, I might as well just keep quiet.
Well, they haven't lost their jobs; they were suspended.
Well.
You understand? So they still have.
But obviously, they won't be happy they have been brought to Accra. Of course, they won't be sacked. But once they've been asked to leave the embassy and come to Ghana,
but they haven't been sacked. But there is something that probably escapes our attention. You know, all of our ministers are addressed as honorables.
Yes.
You know that?
Yes.
Including the defense minister, minister of finance and so on.
Yes.
The foreign minister is an exception.
True. His Excellency.
The foreign minister is addressed the same way the president is addressed. That should tell you something.
Yeah.
That should tell you that the foreign minister is in a special category. You understand? That's our foreign image. You know, that's everything foreign is about him. Our negotiations with other countries, our solidarity with other countries, the definition of our foreign policy lines, and so on. It's all about the Minister for Foreign Affairs. And therefore, given what I know about the conduct of foreign policy and so on, sometimes I'm a bit reluctant to discuss the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You know, I'm a bit reluctant. I'm also reluctant because he said it. Perhaps I wouldn't have said it from the beginning. That's also our nerve center for foreign intelligence gathering. True.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
It's our nerve center for foreign intelligence gathering. So the foreign minister is not just presiding over exchanges of pleasantries and so on. The foreign minister is key in our intelligence gathering efforts and so on. So next time, maybe we can do it better than we've done this time. I don't want to go into all the...
Somebody was asking, in the last few days, the embassy was closed. So if there's a public official in America who wants to visit Ghana, the person would have to postpone it.
Yes.
Because the embassy is not working.
Not just that. What if you have a health emergency?
Yes.
You know, and there are many other emergencies that you could have.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So embassies are very crucial.
Because the embassy is Ghana in America.
Exactly.
And when people have a problem, they go and seek refuge there. So if there's a problem, where do the people go to?
But the good news is that, this closure of the embassy has not lasted too long.
Yes.
It's lasted
But
only
could probably
about
it
3
could be due
days.
to the public backlash.
Yeah, it was
Because
the
when I
public
read the statement which was issued by the Foreign Affairs Minister, which he put up on Facebook, the impression I got was that this was going to last for a while.
Yes.
For some thorough investigations to take place, for us to unearth exactly what happened and so on, before new personnel is deployed to Washington. But you notice after a few, in fact, just 24 hours after this statement came and said on Thursday the embassy is going to open. I suspect it may be due to the backlash.
Yes.
And then there's also something that I think is important to draw attention to. And this happens in all disciplined institutions.
Yeah.
You don't draw the leader into controversies from the very beginning. You understand? So the leader must be kept aside when such things are happening. Is the last line. Okay. So when things happen at a certain level, way below the leader, and ministers issue statements that, I did this in consultation with the head of state and so on, there's a problem. You lock the head of state in, he has no route of escape, and so on. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen.
And that is part of
the head of state is the last person to fall.
Yes.
You, the minister, take responsibility. I mean, what value is added by claiming
that I consulted the president?
That the president is part of it.
Yeah. He's involved in that.
The president from the very beginning has been roped in, and it doesn't sound well.
Yes, but just a quick.
Even when presidents make mistakes, they are the last to take the fall.
Yeah.
And it's for good reason and good measure. So I don't know.
Let me just make these two.
No, I think it was perhaps meant to add some weight to the decision, and some legitimacy.
Nobody.
Does the foreign minister need any weight to take action?
This is something that
he knew it was going to be far-reaching. It was going to have far-reaching consequences, and so.
But the point is that you would have done that consultation.
But you don't.
You may have gotten the blessing, but of course you never know what the aftermath would be.
Yeah.
And so you take responsibility. That is why you are the minister. You are in charge.
You take the
so you take exactly. So you take it. Yeah. But then this issue of going on Facebook and later issuing the statement on the letterhead of the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Why did he not go to Facebook to post the reopening of this? But now on the Foreign Affairs Ministry letterhead.
Honorable, there's a problem that I think we should look. Whether we like it or not, social media has come to stay. Social media has become a platform for communication.
That's correct.
There are presidents who are on X.
That's correct.
Our own president is on X.
Yes.
Donald Trump is on X,
Yes,
and so on. So
Truth
you
Social.
cannot fault a minister
That's correct.
for using social media. However, some ministers ought to be a lot more discreet than others. You understand? I mean, for example, I expect the Minister of Interior to be far more discreet in the use of social media platforms than I would expect the Minister of
Water and Sanitation,
for example. You understand what I'm saying? So you cannot fault the Foreign Minister for using social media platforms. You cannot. But the advice that he needs to be a little more restrained, I think is a good advice.
No,
But
I'm not
the ministry
against
itself
the usage
has a social media presence. So the ministry can announce some of these,
So exactly my point.
Yes, and not necessarily Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa.
No, my
and
point
there should be
was
a department in the ministry
that manages
that manages
Yes,
that.
exactly.
professional.
So that was the angle I was coming
from.
to.
Yes.
So
accounted for containers at the Tamar port. The containers initially reported to be 1,003, but later found to be more, have accumulated significant demurrage costs. Ongwezi, what do you make of this story?
Well, these are very interesting developments. First of all, the impression, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, is created that we've lost about 1,300 and something containers.
Yes.
And then this is followed up by discoveries at some smelting, joints and so on. We find them in wayside fitting shops and so on. So the general impression is that these containers have been stolen. Then 2 days ago, news comes out that we've actually discovered double the number of containers we said were missing in the ports. We've actually now discovered more than 2,600 containers which are in the ports. So then, I've heard some say that it's an indication that the containers were not stolen, that they were not missing. I think there's still confusion about the number of containers we imported and how much was cleared. We need to settle the figures. We haven't settled the figures. Now, those containers which were found in workshops, and so on, the people who had them admitted that they did not import them and that they were sold to them by some agencies and so on. So they could very well be part, of the containers. They could be missing containers. I'm not saying that they are, but they could be missing containers. Okay, that's fine. Now, there's a substantial issue which is raised. How did the ECG keep its inventory? I mean, the administration in the ECG must be in shambles. Unbelievable. I mean, they import material and they don't even know the quantity they have imported. They don't know the quantity which has been cleared.
But
yes.
But the transition report, which John Jinapo received during the transition period, said 3,000. You don't think that should settle the matter? That's public record. 3,000. Except that he said, okay, even though it's 3,000, I want to go to the ground and confirm that myself. And then he got there and somebody told him. I don't know where exactly he went and who he spoke to, but somebody said, oh, it's not 3,000, it's 2,637. And I said, look, these are two different figures. I need to reconcile them. So he put up a 3-man investigative team, interim, to look into it. And then they came out and told him that, well, apparently, it's not even up to 2,637. And that is actually 1,000 something, 1,347.
Yeah.
And I said, so where are all these different figures coming from? So I need to investigate.
But that's the point I'm making.
Okay.
What system of inventory was kept?
Right.
Because that's reference to inventory.
Yeah.
Should be able to tell you
Yeah.
how many are at the ports, how many have been cleared, how many of them are in the warehouses, and so on. A simple system of inventory taking. So all this confusion tells me that there's something fundamentally wrong with the administration of the ECG. It may well be that nothing was stolen. May well be that nothing was missing. It may well be that this is just a manifestation of inefficiency.
Then obviously they were not missing. Or okay, they were missing, but they've been found.
How do you have confidence in the new figures?
That's a good question.
On what basis are you going to have confidence in the new figures when all the figures you have been given before turned out to be problematic? Yeah. So these new figures could also be problematic. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So I think the first thing to do is to improve efficiency at the electricity company of Ghana. Basic things. Get a proper inventory of all the assets, of the ECG, including containers and non-containers. Today we are discussing containers. Do you know what we are going to find if we start investigating vehicles? If we start investigating vehicles, do you know what we are going to find? If they have this hopeless, useless system of inventory taking. So that whole company needs a certain cleanup. It needs to be more efficient than it is today. I've heard people calling for the head of the minister and so on. I wouldn't go that far. The minister himself could have become a victim of misinformation.
Yes.
Like all of us, the minister himself could have been a victim of misinformation. Let us properly establish.
And that's why he himself, if you listen to his commentary, he says, I've been told.
Yeah.
I've been told.
Yeah. So let us establish the full facts. And on the basis of the full facts which are established by a competent team, not the team which was handling inventory at the company, a competent team, then we can proceed to make judgments. In the final analysis, what we are interested in is that the resources of Ghana should not be wasted. What we are interested in is that when we import things, we import them because they are needed.
Yeah.
And then when they arrive at the ports, they will be cleared and used for the purposes for which we imported them. You understand? For me, that's my concern.
Okay.
You know.
All right. For this.
I said forget about committee and let's do audit. What is this committee?
Well,
check the composition of those committees and their background and their experience.
No, I get it. I get it.
What
an
is this
internationally reputable
committee?
organization.
Get a proper
must
audit.
do it, and let's yeah. But in the meantime, let's see what you have.
No, I think we can use local auditors.
Yes.
Yeah.
This so-called internationally recognizable auditors.
because
It actually doesn't mean much.
We don't trust our own people.
Yeah, but our own people are auditing the United Nations and United Nations agencies.
So that one,
Why can't
all
they
we need
audit?
is an audit.
Yeah,
An
all
audit.
we need
That's
is a good audit.
a good audit.
A good
Yes, I
audit
get
and
it.
get us the findings.
I get it. So Niama Matefio, who's watching the show, he says that the new development regarding the ECG containers and the attempt to shift blame on the Honorable Jinapo is much ado about nothing. The minister simply echoed the findings of the committee's report. The figures he cited concerning the missing containers were part of the official report submitted to him. He's not in a position to independently verify the accuracy of claims made by the experts who compiled the report. In fact, it is the same minister who, following further investigations and review, has returned to provide an updated account to the public. The most critical question remains, who are the individuals responsible for stealing the equipment from the containers? And the days ahead will certainly be revealing. I'm not sure if the minister has said something has been stolen from the containers. I'm not aware. We've just been told
I'm
that,
also not aware.
Yes, we've just been told a certain quantity has been retrieved. But I'm only saying that the 3,000 which was contained in the auditor, in the transition report, it should be for me our baseline. That's what we must have. We must have 3,000 containers. Because definitely the same ECG that told us that there are 3,000 containers at the port. We cannot. Yeah,
there could actually be more.
Yeah,
because if your information suggests 1,003 and you are now 2,000,
so clearly there's a poor.
And actually, my information suggests that
Yes.
there are more containers at the port that have not been uncovered. That is yes. And then the minister went around, entered some companies and said, "We found one container here.
Yeah.
We found another container." Let's get serious, man.
And Angusia, in as much as I agree with you that we need to, clean up the inventory system at ECG, my gut tells me that people are not ready to have a proper system that takes inventory of these items that are imported because of people's personal, you know what I mean? People's personal.
Sack them.
Yeah, well.
You sack them.
Yeah, that's all.
I mean, when people who work in the public space, display this level of incompetence, you sack them.
Yeah.
You
And bring in
dismiss
competent
them.
people.
And bring in competent people.
That's all. All right.
So we are dealing with a very high level of incompetence.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have there's a train which is on the move. It's called the accountability train, and it's been moving very fast. And it is taking a stop at the residence of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Chairman Wontumi. He was invited. He didn't go. He was a visit by the NIB to his residence. He went screaming and complaining that he was being harassed and so on. He was promised that security agencies were told that he would be, brought there. He went there on Monday or so, and there was an interaction with him, and then he came back yesterday. And after reporting yesterday, he was arrested again after the initial, interaction or engagement with the CID. He was arrested again by Yoko. And we're told that he's at the grips of the Yoko as we speak. But a few developments have come up. Now, it says that Yoko arrest Wontumi, again, still with the Daily Guide, and it says that the Jibril Abdul Razak says the Economic and Organized Crime Office yesterday arrested Ashanti Regional Chairman of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Bernard Inchi, widely known as Chairman Wontumi. The arrest happened moments after he exited the Criminal Investigation Department at the police headquarters in Accra, where he's facing interrogations for allegedly entering and mining in a forest reserve without authorization. It was not clear why he was arrested or the possible offenses for which officials of the anti-graft body whisked him away. Wontumi was in the company of lawyer Andy Apiakubi when officials of Yoko apprehended him without any, explanation. The arrest has drawn significant condemnation from the public, with some suggesting the action constitutes an abuse of power, considering the fact that Mr. Xpose is currently under investigation by the police and is cooperating with them. So Wontumi was at the CID headquarters yesterday for further investigations by the police as part of his bail conditions. The police on Monday, May 26, 2025, granted Chairman Wontumi a police inquiry bail to assist with ongoing investigations into allegations related to illegal mining activities. He arrived at the CID headquarters at midday, accompanied by a team of lawyers led by former Attorney General Godfrey Adame. The police later confirmed in a statement that Mr. Xpose cooperated fully with investigators, provided a statement, and was subsequently granted bail. Sources familiar with the interrogation disclosed that Chairman Wontumi denied all allegations leveled against him. He reportedly submitted his mining license for verification and maintaining that his operations are entirely legal and regulated. Spokesperson for the NPP in the Ashanti region, Paul Yando, who witnessed the arrest, said, "We were here with Chairman for the second day of his investigations with the CID officials. With less than 5 minutes after getting onto the premises from nowhere, Yoko officials grabbed Wontumi into their car and drove to the office for interrogation in a bizarre manner." The arrest further adds to growing concerns about the manner in which the state security agencies have conducted raids on opposition members since the NDC took power after winning the 2024 elections. There were masked security operatives made up of personnel from the National Intelligence Bureau, NIB, and the Ghana Police Service had earlier stormed Wontumi's home in what witnesses described as a Rambo-style operation, creating panic among residents and attracting large crowds, including NPP supporters. Now, meanwhile, the leadership of the NPP have condemned the Rambo-style arrest of Chairman Wontumi, who has fully cooperated with the law enforcement agency. So there's some of the chaps who were there. The names have been captured in that story. But closely related to this story is that of the Herald. Now, the Herald is telling us Chairman Wontumi is sick. And we're told in this story, let me just, it's here. We're told that the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, that's Bernardine Xpose alias Chairman Wontumi, was hospitalized yesterday, Tuesday, 27 May 2025, after reportedly falling ill during an interrogation by the Economic and Organized Crime Office in Accra. The development was confirmed by his legal representative, Andy Apiakubi, a former member of parliament for Asante Akim North, who briefed journalists last night on his client's health status. However, he declined to reveal the name or location of the medical facility where his client was being treated. I know where he is, but I'm not going to disclose the hospital. All I can say is that my client has been taken to the hospital for medical treatment.
But you see, yesterday, there were two comments which were most interesting.
Okay.
And the first comment was from Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempe.
Yes.
Extremely interesting comment. Now, this was the running mate of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Yesterday, I heard him say that, look, when you start taking contracts from government, when you start making money out of government and so on, you should know that there will be a day of reckoning.
Yes, I've seen that video.
And when that time comes, you should be able to go and answer questions and stop the drama.
Cooperate.
Cooperate. This is Napo.
Yeah.
He made that statement yesterday, apparently. In direct answer to a question about the arrest of Chairman Wontumi. Then there's an Ashanti regional officer, one of the officers of the party, who also spoke. And he said, what? But NPP, we said we were going to fight Galamsey. Okay? Now, if Wontumi's arrest is about Galamsey, why are we complaining? And that we should have arrested him ourselves and turned him over. This is an NPP man. Two very interesting comments. And the meaning of those comments are there. It can't mean anything else but what they mean. You understand? Very interesting. Now, we're talking about Rambo-style arrest and so on. Chairman Wontumi is the regional chairman of the New Patriotic Party, which claims that its stronghold is Ashanti Kumasi. Now, if you're going to arrest Chairman Wontumi in Kumasi, we are going with an armed man. Does it make sense? Would you arrest him with 2 people? Would it make sense to do that? So those who are talking about this Rambo style and so on, they should examine the issues well. You understand? Now, if what you are saying is right, it's even the more reason why the team arresting him will be reinforced. I didn't know. You are saying this morning
for 2 weeks.
that it appears that for 2 weeks they've been trying to get him to hand himself in for questioning. And
I heard that from Abbas Nuruddin, who's a
okay.
He gave reasons why they should give him some time.
Yes.
Because he said he would be attending some medical and all of those
Master,
things.
it's
And
not at your pleasure. If you are suspected of a crime, your arrest is not at your pleasure. The arresting agency may extend some courtesies to you and so on.
Definitely.
But 2 weeks, Abba, Master.
Oh, this thing never came. I feel now the Abba.
Master, 2 weeks. Why? You know, look, I think that anybody who will be arrested, all arrests must be according to law.
right.
Those who are being arrested must have their legal rights. They must enjoy their full legal rights. And these things should not be done arbitrarily in order to achieve a political end. But to create the impression that as for some people, they can never be arrested.
No, that impression
That's
has never
a
been
big
created.
problem.
Yeah.
That impression has never been created.
It has been created.
No.
Master,
They-
I heard
okay.
your director of communications,
Yes.
Mr. Ahiagba, is it the name?
Richard.
Richard Ahiagba, on TV3, saying that the government has to realize that even though they lost the elections, they have numbers.
Okay.
Listen to him very carefully. Even though they lost the elections, they have numbers. And that they cannot be taken for granted. And whether the government is right or not, they can deploy their numbers.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Oh, but you know,
What does that mean? I mean,
my senior,
what
my
does
senior,
that
my
mean?
senior.
Yes, sir.
You know, these are statements attributed to Richard. I'm not going.
I
to
heard him.
exactly.
I
I'm not
heard
going-
him on
but,
TV3.
But do you think and believe, from the benefit of hindsight, that that statement is something that NPP as a political party have done or shown by help massing our people to go and resist arrest of our people?
Master,
You know,
this
so
is- this
it's
is-
condemnable if he said that it
this
is wrong. We
this
can
is-
tell him,
this is
bro,
your di-
don't say,
this is your
don't make that
director
statement.
of communication.
Yes.
Saying whether the government is right or wrong.
Right.
Right or wrong.
Was it during the heat of a demonstration or something?
No.
It was those demonstrations
He
that
was
people
being
make
interviewed
statements.
by TV3. I saw it.
Okay.
You understand?
I'll verify. okay.
Verify.
I'll verify
Ask
with him
him,
because
he's
Richard
an
is a
honest-
fine.
He's an honest
fine.
man. I don't think that he's going to deny.
I'll find out. He's
You
a
know,
fine
to say
gentleman.
that whether
to
the
say
government is right or wrong, we can deploy our numbers. What does that mean? And you see, you expect the state to be decorous when they are arresting people. And I feel sad commenting about the arrest of Wontumi. So Wontumi is a very close friend of mine.
Really?
Yes. Long before he got into politics.
Oh, okay.
Long before Wontumi got into politics, he was a very close friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
Of course, when he became a politician, he just cut me off completely. And I don't care, you understand. But he's been a friend of mine for a very long time.
Okay.
So sometimes when we come and sit here, we are making comments. That's the difficulty we face. This morning I've had to comment about Okudato Ablakwa, who is a very good friend of mine, and so on. You know, so that's my difficulty, and I suppose it's everybody's difficulty. Okay. But you see, when the people who, for some reason, are being invited for questioning and so on, are asking to be treated with respect and so on, it is all right. But they must also learn to treat others with respect.
Avail yourself.
You understand? Now, some of the comments that some of your leaders make about the president, I think are clearly unacceptable. You understand? Yeah, Wontumi has been arrested.
Okay.
If the arrest is unlawful, say that it's unlawful and so on. Yes, that Mahama, I'm warning him and so on. What does that mean? I mean, it's clearly unacceptable.
Yeah.
Clearly unacceptable.
Okay.
Let us, all of us, be decorous. let us, all of us, work within the law. I mean, last night, around 11 o'clock, I saw videos of people attempting to set Yoko on fire. Where is that coming from? And that is in the presence of leaders of your party.
Oh, really?
Yes. You didn't see those videos?
I've not seen any video.
Fire. You understand?
In fact, I'm told that's why he's been moved away from Yoko to another undisclosed.
Why would you do that?
But you see, Kwesi, it's not about NPP. We've been in this country where people had issues with the Electoral Commission. NDC thugs went to EC, wanted to set EC on fire. So let's condemn.
Is it correct?
No, exactly my point.
But
so
when that
let's condemn.
Right. So if this has happened and we are condemning,
so let's condemn. I'm not saying that it is not.
What you are condemning.
I'm not saying that it is only.
Why?
But it's bad.
So let me do this quickly.
No,
our time is up.
Something happened some time ago.
Yes.
We condemned it.
Yes.
Something new is happening.
Yes.
Don't condemn this alone. Go and condemn what has happened in the past. You have already condemned.
We'll go past that.
What is that?
Robert, I think it's wrong. I'll follow up again on what you've said.
Yeah.
And I think we as a political party should send a signal to our followers.
All right.
That you see, this is nothing new.
Okay.
We have prosecuted people under during our regime.
Right.
We've arrested people before.
Okay.
And arrested
somebody in church
so
before.
let me
Somebody kneeling before the altar. You want to pick him
our
up.
time is up.
But that's what they could find.
Good morning, my brother. I have lived in
Now
this
look at
belief.
what happened to Tumbuafo.
Look
at what happened to
the
Tumbuafo.
United States of America.
You
It's a good morning, my brother. I have lived in disbelief since December 7, 2024, until I saw the CD rise to the dollar as commanded by Ato Forcing. I have lived in disbelief since December 7, 2024, until yesterday when I saw Chairman Wontumi grant interview after interrogation by the police CID. What happened to the display of opulence on TV with gold bars? Priding himself as governor of Kumasi, etc., have all changed to talking undertone. Power is indeed transient, a lesson to all Ghanaians, especially the NDC members. Well done, President Mahama. Change has indeed come to Ghana. And he continues to say that today, Ongwezi has spoken my mind. You need a battalion to arrest Chairman Wontumi in Kumasi. The security agencies could easily have been overpowered by his supporters. Let me do this quickly.
Thank you for making time with us once again. And we say God bless you for the good work you are doing and trusting us and subscribing to our channel. We say God bless you and kudos for doing that. We also urge you to subscribe or share to your friends to also watch and subscribe to our channel, because we have much facts and gist in the political arena which you cannot afford to mix out. Do share. Don't just watch it alone or listen to it alone. Share to other friends of yours on other platforms as well. God bless you for doing that. Stay tuned, stay blessed, stay glued to the channel by turning on the notification bell. Bye-bye.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.